Good morning. It's July the 12th at approximately 20 minutes to 11 in Austin, Texas. This will be a video I will upload or download or whichever way it is right to my YouTube channel. I have one on there already, but this will be hopefully much more concise and staying on track and not as formal. I reviewed that other one, the first one, several times. It's way too formal, so I want to, as I said the first one, I want to keep this one light and airy, but the subject is heavy with wisdom and knowledge. The subject of this book, Atman, the Soul of Yoga, book one by Sakshi, who is the witness as a consciousness within the human body. It is the witness to what's going on in the world. And my given name is James Exum, E-X-U-M. This is the first printing I'm reading from, August of 2023. All rights reserved. All rights reserved. I'm going to skip over the little quote that's at the top of the introduction and go straight into the text. It should be known that in this text I did not strive, nor could anyone, to cover every aspect of the vast breadth and depth of the ocean of yoga teachings, and it is an ocean. For herein one may find a massive amount of primordial philosophy openly contained in the ancient Vedic canons. Also recognize that I produce this work as a practice in karma yoga, the yoga of action. That this work is dedicated to Creator as an act of sacrifice while constantly overcoming day by day adversities. Most of these adversities fall into the perennial desires that most humans have. One of the other adversities, I'm paraphrasing here, one of the other adversities is my own ignorance of the sacred and very important Vedic scripts. So here I'm testing my personal abilities to finish this book. Well, obviously I succeeded. I'm reading to you from it. And that's basically, I could read you the whole intro, but again, I'm going to keep it light and try to speed it all up for you. I do want to show you the cover of the book real quickly, if you don't mind. Now, this is a handmade book. This is the original text from my original manuscript that I did online, in my Word app on my Windows 11. And this book has sort of a medieval look to it, and you'll see why in a second. It has the old ribbed spine. That's very durable leather. Here's the cover I designed for it. And there's the title of the book right there at the bottom, Atman, the soul. And there's my signature, my yoga signature there. Okay, enough of that vanity. Let's get to the meat of the text. I'll skip over that micro biographical portion that's at the beginning of the book, and I'll skip over images that are in here, and even the conclusive part of my introduction. This book is written in an alphabetical sequence. And the first one, of course, well, it could be anything in yoga, but the first one I chose was the asanas, the yogic poses and exercises, which include the pranayama, which is the breathing exercises and so forth. And as I said, I chose the illustrations for this book very, very carefully. Took my time. And I don't want to hurt the book, so I'm just going to kind of tilt it at you. I think, yeah, there we go. And that is there it is. That's the first illustration right there. That's a yogi standing on his head. A very early yogi standing on his head. May not have been a yogi, maybe a practitioner. And that odd-looking thing he's standing on his head is a floor skin of a tiger. Tigers are very important in Indian literature and in Indian mythology. Again, as I said, that is the first chapter of the book. But that's not, you can go to any yogi studio, speak to the master of the studio, the teacher of the physical exercises, and get more and more information than I could ever tell you in a book. I mean, it would fill volumes, all the different ideas that these practitioners of the physical exercises of yoga would be able to offer to the general public. So I don't think I'm not trying to belittle the physical exercises. I did them when I was young. I even taught them when I was young. But I have moved on to the spiritual side of yoga. I have moved on to the philosophical side of yoga. And basically that's what the rest of the chapters in this book cover, some in great detail. But what I will be doing is I will be doing extractions from each one of these. I've never read a book on camera before, much less on YouTube. So this is chapter 2, and Atman, the soul of yoga, is about the Atman. That's the title of the book, and now I'm explaining what Atman means to my readers. And there's a few miniaturized quotations as lead-ins to most of these chapters. They're from various sources having to do with yoga, and sometimes they're original quotes of mine having to do with yoga or life in general philosophy. The first line on this one was written by me. It says, quote unquote, oftentimes small remarks shed light on great concepts. Small remarks shed light on great concepts. The second one was also written by me. By someone else. This one is quoted saying, therefore, Atman is beginningless and endless. Everything which can be perceived by our senses will change and pass away, while Atman will remain forever. That's a quotation from a very important Swami from his book Spirit and Matter, 1905. And I'm going to have to make sure I pronounce his name right. His name is Abhidananda, 1905. Spirit and Matter. And here's the last quote in the introductory quote. Be acutely aware that the shadows of your ignorance, that is our great enemy in yoga, is ignorance. The shadow of your ignorance and the darkness of your arrogance must become nullified before any semblance of the eternal spark may be glimpsed. The eternal spark is the Atman. The Atman is the soul that has been implanted in your body, my body, everybody's body. Everybody's body. Sorry. Well, a little light humor will help along the road. Okay. And that also is by me. In other words, as long as you are ignorant, you lean towards arrogance. And before any semblance of understanding of what the Atman is and his place in the cosmos along with the creator Brahman, as long as you are ignorant, I'm just going to break it in even simpler language, to the rules of the game, which is righteousness, right path, right duty, right actions, negation of anything that is harmful to others, that you perform that is harmful to others or to yourself. You have to, through insight, through reflection, through meditative insight into your own being, going inwards to. We all look outwards to study the world, especially Sakshi, because he's witness. But as individuals, we need to start looking inwards to observe ourselves, our activities, what we do, what we say, how we emotionally react to things that come across our paths and the changing of the days. As time moves on, we tend to grow. But some of us are stunted in that growth because we allow the ego, our personal desires, our personal ambitions, and then there's the negative side of that, our personal wanting to have those things that give us temporary satisfaction. That would include a new purchase at a major luxury department store, a car, a brand new car, a new lover, a new girlfriend, a new boyfriend, the buying of anything. I came up with this quote years ago, talking about things that come to you, like say a child on Christmas morning. He's all excited for that day to arrive. Here in America, most children welcome Christmas. But after the package, the paper and the little ribbon has been cast aside, and that beautiful covering of the package, that mom or dad so carefully chose and so carefully tried to hide the transparent tape that's holding it together. After that ribbon has been tossed, the presentation wrapping has been ripped off of it. Not with ease, not with care, but with greed. That's greed that's doing that. That is greed in action. Opens the package, whatever within, rips that open. Enjoys, or not enjoys, the gift chosen for them on that morning. Well, weeks before, but presented to them on that morning with permission to open it. A day or two later, that same content of that package may be either put away with a little bit of respect, or it might be just tossed aside. So I wrote this little comment. I'm a writer, obviously, and I like to write my little thoughts that come in my head. They're just scattered all over the place. They're organized, but they're on pieces of paper, the backs of things I just printed out. They're in little notebooks, big notebooks. Just whenever and wherever I can grab a pen and take and record my thought at the moment that I think is important. So be acutely aware that shadows of your ignorance and darkness of your arrogance must be nullified before any semblance of the eternal spark, the Atman, may be glimpsed. Be acutely aware. But what I call that, I don't call it buyer's remorse. That came much later after I wrote this concept down. I think the end of the notation that I wrote down about on this subject, I think it said, let me go back to it in my mind. I have to go back in my memory banks. I think it said, oh, here it is. The expectation of gaining anything. It's a general statement. The expectation, I've got it backwards. The realization generally turns out to be one half the expectation. Finally got it out. That's a memory from 30 or 40 years ago. So, it had to shuffle through a lot of files at that old memory bank of mine to dig that one out for us. So there's that. And on the interior of the book, years ago also, I'm an artist, as you can see in the background, and I'm not trying to sell you art. That's just stuff is on the walls, things are on the wall. Whether I'm not doing a video in the foreground of it or not, it's just my normal decorative pieces for my home, my apartment. But I did design a special piece years ago, and I call the title of this work, Enter the Atman. In other words, the Atman is making its entrance onto the stage, and I thought it to be most appropriate as the illustration for the first page of chapter 2, which is titled Atman, A-T-M-A-N. And again, I'm going to show you, without tearing up this book, I'm going to show you that illustration. And here it is. It's pastel on paper. That's one of my pastel drawings. Charcoal and pastel and pencil, the basics, are my forte. And there's the title of it and so forth. I know that I'm not doing this let me do it this way. Excuse me. Now there we go, that's much better. That's the illustration for that chapter, and this one of the major illustrations for this book. Well, thank you for your patience on that. And can you believe it? We're almost up to almost 20 minutes. And so I think that's a good place to stop or pause in the presentation of these different videos. I think that's a good place to pause and end this segment, segment 1, so to speak. So what I'll do in the next 45 seconds, I'll wrap it all up. This will be a series of readings from this book that I wrote, as I said. And let me get to the last page here real quickly. Yeah, it's just back here somewhere, I think. And it's page number 254. And I illustrated that page with a well-known print of Adi Shankara, who is a major commentator and a major influence on the world of yoga. And there he is sitting with his students, and there's my dedication. So I showed you Alpha, now I'm showing you Omega, and I'll read the commentary below the photograph of the illustration. That's very famous. Okay? It says, I dedicate this volume to Sri Adi Shankara. I also dedicate it to Swami Satchidananda and all the true seekers in pursuit for the wisdom of yoga. All the seekers in pursuit of the wisdom of yoga. Well, hopefully, if this video attracts anyone, and they stay and listen to more and more of these videos on this very book and on this very subject, hopefully they will, I know them to be, and they will themselves learned that they are seekers in pursuit for the wisdom of yoga. Well, goodbye for now. Come back if you wish. Goodbye.